everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently, and I want to share with you my tips on how I personally deal with overcoming art block or finding something to do that's creative in a time where creativity is hard. So I don't know about you, but I personally have been struggling during this whole COVID-19 social distancing thing with finding ways to be creative. And I just really wanted to encourage everybody and be able to share with you how I do this and how I come up with ways that I can be creative without maybe like really stressing over making a beautiful painting or anything like that. And this idea, I wanted to just give a quick shout out. This idea was given to me by one of my Instagram followers, Fallon Dawn. So thank you, Fallon, for that little inspiration on what to do for this video. And I'm sorry that it took 2 weeks to come up with this video, but there's been the lack of motivation because of social distancing and not being able to like come up with that creative headspace, but also I've been super distracted. My husband and I just got a puppy and she's the sweetest thing and I absolutely love her, but she does distract me a lot. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment and tell me what you do to overcome art block. All right, enjoy the video. So my first tip for overcoming art block is to take a break. It's okay to not be creative right now. It is okay if all you can do is sit on the couch. Sometimes what we need to do is just take a break, step away from our art, maybe go for a walk, and get outside. Another thing is I like to, if I'm feeling kind of down and not motivated, drink a lot of water or cups of tea and just really practice self-care. It's really important to take care of your mind and your body, especially for your creativity, because if those things aren't up to par, your creativity likely isn't either. So I like to make sure that I am fully operational, to say for lack of a better word, before I try to sit down and be productive. The next thing I like to do is look at things that inspire me. So one of the places I immediately go for inspiration is Pinterest, and I have a whole board on my Pinterest of just illustration inspiration. So these are things that I have discovered and found, and I've sorted them into categories, and I will link this board down below in the description box. But this is just kind of the things that I go through and try to look for. So maybe I'm really into drawing mushrooms, so I have a whole board for mushrooms and I can just go look at those mushrooms. Another thing is faces. It's a good thing to practice anatomy, so I like to go in and try to find an interesting face and maybe draw that. Maybe it's a different expression than I'm used to drawing. Currently, I'm really into fairy houses and like fairy garden kind of things. So I've been looking at very small, kind of thrown together found objects to make other objects, like everyday things like chairs or kitchen utensils, that kind of thing. Another place I like to go for inspiration is YouTube. So I have a couple YouTubers that I really like to watch when I'm feeling kind of not inspired or just have no motivation to be creative. One of those is Pipa's Art. I'll link her channel down below. Another one's Drawing with Waffles. Also link her channel down below, and I think I've talked about both of them before. But those are two of my like go-to art channels on YouTube that I like to watch and follow. And they really inspire me to try to like pick up my pencil and draw and be creative even when I'm not feeling creative. Another thing I like to do is just do something that's crafty. Rather than trying to like come up with like a brilliant painting with a lot of symbolism or whatever, I like to just sit down and do something with my hands that maybe doesn't involve my brain as much. One of the things that I've really gotten into recently is embroidery, so I thought I'd show you a little process of me working on an embroidery piece that I've been working on for the last couple weeks. But also like things like crocheting or knitting. anything like that, even just like paper crafts. So if you like making cards, make some cards for your friends and send them out. Everybody loves snail mail. It's better than getting a bill, right? But things like that, just picking up something that's not your normal art routine can be super helpful, because you're stepping away from what you're used to, kind of breaking out of your comfort zone a little bit, and giving yourself something to do that's different. Another thing I like to do is to pick a new surface. So you probably, if you've been following my channel for a little bit, you've probably seen this video, but I painted an entire wall in my dining room with a mountain scene and some trees, and it was really fun. I will make sure to include that in the little eye box up at the top so that you can watch that if you're interested. But yeah, just picking a new surface or even just trying something new in general is really good for your brain. So whether that's trying a new medium, maybe you've never painted with acrylics before, or maybe you've always wanted to try watercolor or markers, pick that new medium and just go for it. Just try it. Just make sure you warm up a little bit first, maybe do some quick sketching, but just go for it. Jump into a new medium. You'd be surprised what happens. Another thing I've tried recently is sculpting. So making things like if you have some Sculpey or maybe you have even just Play-Doh or air-dried clay, whatever you have that you can sculpt with. Or maybe you just want to try using cardboard. Like, I don't know about you, but I've been doing a lot of online shopping, so there's plenty of cardboard around for me to, if I wanted to, I could make something out of cardboard. So maybe that's making, I've seen people make puppets out of cardboard. I've personally made an entire like cat palace for my parents. But just making things out of other materials and making a three-dimensional object. Another thing is if you've gone for that walk, maybe you picked up some cool leaves or a nice stick or some flowers. Try to make something out of materials that you can find in your backyard. I've wanted to do this. I haven't actually gotten to do it yet, but I think it's a really fun exercise because there's so many things you can do with things that already exist in nature and the things that you can create with that. Whether that's just like bringing them in and maybe you're sketching the leaves and flowers that you found in your backyard, or maybe you want to make little fairies out of these leaves or flowers. Another thing, I really like making maps, so I actually created an entire map of my creative process. Sometimes just making a map and kind of mapping those out, it's good to see where you are. My last tip is to go back to the basics. So for me, back to the basics is working on my value structures from light to dark. How light can I get with my mechanical pencil, which is what I've been using recently, or how dark can I get with it? How can I make textures and value without using like any blending devices like a tissue or a tortillon or my finger even. Working on three-dimensional shapes, so like a sphere, a cone, a cube, things that if you've taken any basic high school art class, you've probably done, but when was the last time you really sat down and did it? For me, probably the last time was when I was in high school, so I just decided I'd go through. I found a source on Instagram to look at how I should go about it, and then I just sat down and did it. Another thing is you can practice anatomy. Anatomy is really important, especially for illustrations. The things that you really need to focus on and that can make or break an illustration is definitely hands and faces. So go back and practice drawing hands or draw feet even. Feet are weird. And draw faces. Like, faces are so interesting. In this clip, I really only drew an eye because I just really wasn't feeling it that day. So I just drew an eye, but you know, maybe you needed help on noses, so draw some noses, or draw eyes, draw mouths, like whatever it is that you really think you need to focus on for anatomy, focus on it and just take some time to draw it. Sometimes having that focus will lead to something else. And I know for me, a lot of times when I'm not feeling very inspired, if I have a idea of just going through and sitting down and drawing something, like one of my last videos, I drew some Edwardian fashion. I drew that on a day that I was not feeling very motivated to do art. But I knew I wanted to draw a character that had some Edwardian fashion, so I was like, oh, well, I'll just look up some Edwardian fashion and I'll draw it and I'll video it for YouTube, why not? But having like a singular focus is a lot easier than coming up with like a full illustration of this is what the background's going to look like and the characters are going to be doing this. that sort of thing. It's a lot easier to just go, okay, I need to focus on noses, so let's just look up some noses and draw some noses. I hope that this video was helpful and inspiring for you guys. Once again, let me know in the comments how you deal with art block. I'm interested to see what other people think. As well as, I just want to reiterate that it is okay to not be productive right now. And please consider your self-care over your creativity. Do what's best for you. For me, I really need to be productive in order to feel healthy and in order to feel mentally well. So I've been really focusing on trying to be productive because I know that that's what my body needs. But if that's not what your body needs, if what your body needs right now is just to sit on the couch watching Netflix, you do you, man. Maybe bring your sketchbook along while you're watching Netflix. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next week. Bye!